we're up to the last ice that's above, right? On page 7, second column. So just a quick recap just to know how we got here, right? So we said there are 3 things that we say on Rosh Hashanah, and that is Malchios, Zechronos, Shofars, right? Malchios is the kingship, Zechronos are the memories, Shofars is blowing the shofar. So we said Malchios, right? We are creating kingship. How? The Yid creates the Malchus of Hashem by choosing Hashem. We're crowning Hashem as our king. That's Rosh Hashanah. The first Rosh Hashanah, where Hashem created this concept of Malchus, was the Sarusa de Le'ela. But now, because it's not the first Rosh Hashanah anymore, it's the Sarusa de L'Sata, which brings about the Sarusa de Le'ela. Then we went on to say, this follows, Ein Melech V'lo Am. Really, there's no king without a nation. But the Alter Rebbe takes it further, that the people have to be in the same relation as the king in order for it to be a significant kingship. Okay? So, therefore, we realize that it has to be that we are Chelek Hashem Amai, right? That we are really connected to Hashem in a very essential way, and therefore we are able to choose Him as our king, even though the distance between us and Hashem is so great. So the novelty here is that there can even exist, that Hashem can even exist as our king. But that's really the novelty. The novelty is that we're able to choose Him as our king, and He defines Himself as our king. So that's why, going all the way to the beginning of the Maimer, Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to the Yidden now, and he says, Atem nitzavim hayoim. Hayoim was Rosh Hashanah. Today you stand together. That means all the Jewish souls come back together, and we go back to our source. And over there we realize that we're really all essentially one, right? And what had happened from there? La'avra chaber bris. Then Hashem carries us through the covenant. What's the point of the covenant? The covenant is to take that relationship and take it higher than Tam V'das. That means higher than understanding, higher than rationale. And what happens from this, what we discussed, what's so beautiful, is that it creates a relationship between the Yid, between the innermost part of the Yid, between the Pnimius of the Yid, and the Pnimius of the infinite light, and the Pnimius of Hashem. That's what's happening there. There's a very deep bond. Okay, till we become Chelek Hashem Amay, and Hashem says, make me your king. And obviously the whole Maimer is all this beautiful talk. What brings it out? The shofar. The shofar is the one that exposes my inner part and exposes the deepest dimension of the relationship, and that's what creates this entire what would be the word? See. Okay, so let's move on to love. Now, the Alter Rebbe always wraps up in my mind so beautifully. So, open your hearts and minds. Did Kumar say that today? I thought I had to say it for her. Okay. So, Vav. V'zehu, and this is V'shakal v'peles harim u'gavayis b'maznayim. What does that mean? V'shakal, it's talking about Hashem. Okay, just by the way, this is the Haftarah of Shabbos Nachmu. You know what Shabbos Nachmu is? Yeah, the Shabbos right after Tisha B'Av, we start to go into the state of comfort, right, where Hashem comforts us. So the Haftarah of Shabbos Nachmu, we read something from Yeshaya, and over there it talks about Hashem's, it's talking about Hashem's greatness. And part of what it says is V'shakal, and he weighs, Bapeles, with a scale, Harim, the mountains, Ugivais, and the hills, B'maznayim, with a balance. So there's 2 different kinds of scales, right? What's like the most standard, the balanced one? What is it?
Like you put 2 things, and then it balances which one is...
Exactly. You have 2 plates, something in the middle, whatever it is, a stick, and let's say if you want it to be balanced, you're going to have to make sure the weight is even on both sides, right? And if something is heavier, it goes like this and like that. Then there's a different kind of scale, the most annoying one. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but when I used to go to the doctor as a little kid, that was the scale that they used. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? I always wondered why. Just get but they say it's not as accurate. That's more accurate. Yeah. Yeah, the doctor's office and the one that I go to now, like in Brooklyn, they still have it. Like they won't upgrade to the. Yeah. So that's a pellis. What's a pellis? Do you know how it works?
Wait, what's the second one? Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna show you. It's the one that they used to have in the doctor's office. It's like you step on it, and then the stick goes up. Like however heavy you are, it's gonna go up. Now, in order to balance it, they have these pieces of metal on the stick, so they move it in and out to balance it out because the metal is heavy, right? So it looks something like this, right? And I don't know exactly the mechanism of how the metal is connected, but the point is that this long stick is going to move. The minute someone heavy stands over here, this stick is going to jump up. So now to bring it back down, we're going to take this metal thing that's connected on strings. That's the Alter is going to explain. I guess in his days it was strings. And they're going to move it to make sure that it's back in balance. And that's where they see how much you weigh, because on that long stick, there's numbers. Yeah? Okay, amazing. Now, why is he bringing this here now? It's really fascinating. He says there's two kind of mountain. There's the har, that's the big mountain, and then there's the gavais. What's a gavais? A hill. It's the smaller mountain. Hashem weighs them both. The mountain he weighs on the pellis, and the hill he weighs on the balance scale. What does this mean? Right? Okay, let's see. What?
Confusing.
It's confusing?
Yeah, like we didn't.
Wait, but we didn't start. No, but you understand first, there's two scales, two mountains.
Yeah.
So it's not confusing. It's all good. You probably don't know how it connects to the minor. It's coming. Kihine harumugvalis, the idea of mountains and hills, they are compared to the levels of love. Because there are two levels of love. There's the level of love that's a har, and then there's a level of love that's gavoya. Okay? So which one we already spoke about. There's the love of what? There's the love of because we spoke about the outer cry and the inner cry. So now it's also what? There's the love that comes from the chitzonius halev, right? And then there's the love that's from the pnimius halev. Right? The same awe, the same fear, the same cry that you're going to have from your tam v'das is also going to produce the same love that you can have from your tam v'das. Okay? So now, the mountain is the deeper kind of love, and the hill is the external love. Why? Because both spiritually and physically, which one is bigger? The mountain. So it's higher and bigger. Okay. Gevais, hills, the hills are on a lower level than the mountain. Because they say about hills, they are the mother. Okay, so what does that mean? The hills are the ones that receive from the mountains. In other words, I'm not sure. I'm not maybe some of you know. It seems like the hills are formed from the mountains. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So why is that called the mother? Because what do we know? The mother is the one. It's Chachma, Bina. Bina receives from Chachma. So in a certain sense, it's more connected, but in a certain sense, it's lower. Okay? It means to say we're becoming more connected to it because we're starting to really grasp and understand and make it personal, but it's already to a lower space because it's receiving from Chachma. Okay. Shevekava min al-haret. So the hills receive from the mountains. V'hu b'chinas ava b'chitzanes halev. So that is going to be compared to the love that is from the external part of the heart. Now, where does that external love where is it always being taken from? Tam v'das, which means our understanding, our rationale, our intellect, okay? What I can grasp as a human being, what my mind grasps, what my mind meditates on, what I understand about Hashem. That is all going to produce an external love. The Hizbainus B'Gdulas Hashem, right, through meditating and through meditating in Hashem's greatness. Kirahu, because there's a lot to meditate about. Okay? So this is the concept of Bina. This is the concept of, right, we discussed this. When you really meditate about this, that Hashem is the one that really pumps life into every single thing. And nothing can exist without him. So on and so forth. So much as each one of us, right? We said, every person according to his capacity, the more you can grasp this, the more real this becomes to you, automatically you want to cling to the source of life. You want to cling to him. You're going to love him. You're going to have that awe. You're going to be connected to him. But again, this is limited in a certain sense because it's how much I understand. So that is going to produce a more outer kind of love, a more of an external kind of love. Okay? Now, in order to refine the heart and to make it shine with the light of this love, this is a very important line. I know a lot of people would just continue reading, but I think that this says a lot. He says like this: the love is there. The love is already there, right? We discussed this already, right? Do we all love Hashem? Yes, but sometimes it's what? It's hidden. It's buried. I'm plugged up. I'm plugged up. It could be either I'm shut off from my emotions, or I'm invested in other things too much, and a person can't be in two places at once, or there could be many things. In other words, he uses the word here, lezachich. Lezachich means to refine. You have to refine your soul so that the love inside of you could shine forth. So in other words, it's there. So a lot of people say, I don't feel anything towards Yiddishkeit. I don't feel love towards Hashem. Maybe it's just not for me. And the answer is, it's there. You just need to refine it. You need to refine yourself and open yourself up to that love. Right? It's a beautiful passage. It says, Ani Yeshena. Anyone know this? Good. Er's with the ayin or aleph? Like awake.
Ayin.
It says, Ani Yeshena, I'm asleep, but believe my heart is awake. So yes, I'm asleep. And I can tell you, you see, I don't like to impose my things on people, but I always like to share, because for me, I can tell you that a lot of the things that make this happen is fears. Okay, we have so many fears that paralyze us, literally. It makes us numb, and we can't feel anything. It's like we're not open. So that's a line here where the author says, you have the love inside of you, you have to refine yourself. But now he's going to say something even more beautiful. He's going to say, what is the tool? What is the tool? Okay? So, in order to refine your soul, to enliven and shine forth the love that you have, you have to draw upon yourself the light of Torah and mitzvahs. Right? So many times we think I could be spiritual, I'm going to get connected to myself, and I'm going to do all this beautiful kind of work. But then I don't have that structure of Torah and mitzvahs. I don't have the keli, the vessel to hold that light. So now he's saying something even deeper now. He's saying like this: you have the love, but right now it's not in balance. You're not feeling it. So remember, we're talking about the hills. The hills he's going to balance out with this kind of scale. Okay, now listen to what he says. So you need to shine forth Torah and mitzvahs on your soul. Why? Because the 248 positive commandments, are the 248 limbs of the king. Right? So just like every limb of your body brings forth a certain life force, right? The hand brings the life force of the soul through the hand, and this foot, and the nose, and the eyes, and every part of your body really is a channel for another life force of the soul. So too, every one of the 248 positive commandments brings forth infinite energy. It brings forth Hashem's divine energy into you and into the world. Okay? So it's huge. And this, the 248 positive commandments, are compared to God's outer limbs. That means what would be considered an outer limb? Arms, nose, mouth, eyes, anything that we see on the outside. It's not the internal limbs, it's the outer limbs. Those are the positive commandments. Okay? The Torah, now what's compared to the lungs and the heart and the kidney, all the internal limbs, that's Torah. Torah is the one that is the inner limbs. And that's why we say that learning Torah is equal against all the other mitzvahs. In other words, Torah is the greatest mitzvah. Okay? In Tanya, he gives more explanation of why. But over here, he's saying it's compared to the inner limbs. Shechayis hanefesh. Now, the life force of the soul, talui, is much more dependent. Be'evar ha'pninim. Talui yoter. It's more dependent on the inner organs, right? Shenikibasam b'mashehu. Shenikibasam b'mashehu means that there's a hole. There's a tiny bit of a hole. Where's that coming from? There's a lot of if I'm going too fast, because I want to finish the timer, there's a lot of but if you don't understand, please stop me. When we look at the laws of kashrut, okay, and the laws of shchita. Sorry, Meira.
Oh, this is already done. Fine.
When you said you can't handle eating chicken because I think you're just you get queasy about it. So when a sheikhet, okay, how do you say that in English? A butcher, a slaughterer, or whatever. When a sheikhet slaughters a cow, okay, according to the laws of kashrut, the inner organs are not allowed to have even a tiny hole. If it has a tiny, tiny hole, it's not kosher. And you should know that there's a tremendous pressure about this because a cow is worth a lot of money. And that's why we have to be so careful on the hechsher that we choose to eat, because really the sheikhet has to have yiras shamayim. He really has to have a fear of heaven. So we have to be careful what we eat.
They
what?
check every single organ.
Yeah. You know what they do? They blow up the lung.
That's galat.
What?
That's galat kosher. When the lungs are completely without any.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I grew up with So I was head counselor in camp, and me and my partner were a little bit crazy. We always we had to do everything different. We said this year is going to be different. So one of the crazy things we did we bought a slaughter to camp, and he slaughtered a goat in front of the whole camp.
Nice.
And they actually took a goat from the farm in camp, and it was fascinating. And then he went through. We roasted the liver, we ate it, and then he showed us all the halachos of how we check that the animal's kosher. And some girls left, and some girls were like, "Yeah, I want to blow up the lungs," and then blowing it up. Anyway, so it's really, really fascinating. So what are we saying here? The inner organs are much more. The life force of the person is much more dependent, right? A person can exist without a foot, but chas v'shalom, that the heart stops pumping, or the kidney doesn't work, or the inner organs are much more vital. Okay, so that's compared to the Torah. Torah is a much deeper part. It's the inner organs of the Malka, of the king, which is Hashem. Okay, that's why you see with the outer stuff, according to Kashrus. I actually once opened a pack of chicken and the bone was broken. And it's not, that would make it, to say it's fine if there's a hole in the skin, it's fine, but if the bone is actually broken on the foot, it could render a chicken not kosher. Yeah.
So you were saying that only the positive mitzvah are the outer limbs?
The outer limbs, right?
So what about the negative mitzvah?
The negative mitzvahs, we're not drawing forth any life force of them into the world. We're by staying away from it, we're doing that. So he's saying the positive mitzvahs, every time you engage in a positive mitzvah, you're drawing forth a certain life force from godliness into the world. And Torah is even greater. It's like the inner organs. It's like your whole life depends on that. Okay? Amazing. Now Now, again, girls, so you're not confused. We're still dealing with the hills and not the mountain, right? We're dealing with the hill. What's the hill compared to? Chitzonius haled, the outer love. And what do we measure it with? What kind of scale? The balance scale. So now we're going to get there. The heim k'mashal kaf maznayim, and this we weigh, right? And this is the mashal of the kaf maznayim. That is, the kaf means the palm, maznayim of the scale, right? We call this, the Alter calls these two plates over here the palm, okay? It's like a plate, okay? It's like a hand that holds the thing that you're going to weigh. Sheshayklim the kaf zu, what do? We're going to put something on one palm, v'noisnim masa the kaf hashenis lahachriya, and we're going to put a burden. Okay, masa means we're going to put something heavy on the other spoon, la'achriya, to determine the weight of this object. Kach al yedei masa hatayra val mitzvahs. Look, listen to the words that he uses. So too, okay, yay. So too, through the burden of Torah and mitzvahs. You hear? Torah and mitzvahs?
Are a burden?
Yes, they are. 1 minute, we'll discuss it. Through the burden of Torah and mitzvahs, I'm not afraid to say yes. I'm not. You'll see why. Okay, because it is a burden. What?
It's negative.
It's negative, but wait a second. Okay? Kach ayidei masa ha-Torah mitzvahs. Through the burden of Torah and mitzvahs, machriya kaf ahava, it's going to determine that palm of love, laha'ir al nafshay, so that it could shine forth on his soul. So again, what are we saying here? He said very clearly, he said, we have a scale, okay? Now, this is my love for Hashem. It's down in the dumps. It's down here, okay? I don't feel anything. I don't know, sometimes I wonder, what is this, right? He says, what do you have to put here to bring it back up? Go. You have to put the weight of Torah and mitzvos here to bring the love back up. Now, yes, he's calling it a burden because let's be real and honest over here. Torah and mitzvos limits us. Does it not?
It's hard to say, but yeah.
No, come on. Like, let's not be scared now.
It limits us in what way?
But it's oil mafashamayim. Oil means a yoke.
Limits us from physical, but not.
Wait, is it limiting?
Physical.
Spiritually too.
Spiritually, I know she's right because spiritually it's going to bring out your love.
In the terms of protecting us from what we don't technically need, when the Torah limits us, they limit us from what we don't actually need.
Right. I'm cold.
Yeah.
So what is he saying here? In a certain sense, it's limiting you. Okay, halacha limits us, right? But it says ein lecha ben chayrin. You're right, because it says ein lecha ben chayrin ela misha isek ba Torah. What does it mean, a ben chayrin? A free man. Ein lecha ben chayrin. You do not have a free man. Ela misha isek ba Torah. Only someone who is occupied with Torah. Really? I would think just the opposite. I mean, don't you think the opposite? Someone who's sitting in a base medrash. You don't think the opposite. Awesome. Good. Because you know. And that's what we're here to learn. Someone who's sitting in the base medrash with an open Gemara and learning from morning to night. And he's not able to tour the world. And he's not able to go to restaurants and taste steak and wine and all the beautiful things. You're telling me he's the free one? I'm the free one. I get to do whatever I want. He's the free one? Okay, so what do we have to understand here? We have to understand that's true. It's limiting, but what happens is, it's limiting, but it brings out the love. In other words, you have to understand, and I think that's what Sasha was saying. Once you understand the DNA of a Jew, once you understand that you have a certain light that needs to be brought out, and the only way it could be brought out is through Torah mitzvos, you realize that it's not there to crush you, it's there to bring you out. It's there to bring you out. So it's lifting you up. So I heard a beautiful mashal from the Rebbe. I didn't hear it straight from the Rebbe, but I heard someone quoting the Rebbe, and he said that you know how laser works? What?
I just know so many people who do laser, and everyone in my son is like looking for someone to do laser.
That's funny. Okay. So how does laser work, by the way?
They burn it.
What makes laser effective? Do you know that nowadays they're able to operate on people with laser? They're not even cutting the person's skin open. They're able to, with this beam of light, penetrate the skin, and go and fix things up inside a person's body. How awesome is that? So what's the concept of laser? So the Rebbe explained, I think it was when the laser technology came out. I don't know. He spoke about it. So he explained that everything gives forth light in this world, right? The sun is the easiest to look at, but because it's light by nature spreads, right? That's why it works. That's why we could turn on a light bulb and the room lights up. So light is never focused. It's always like there's all over the place. It diffuses. There's different wavelengths and different colors, and therefore it just spreads out. But because of that, its energy gets diminished. In other words, the reason why we could exist with the sunlight is because we're not experiencing its full intensity because it diffuses. Make sense? Okay, awesome. So the light spreads by nature. So it loses energy, it becomes weak. Laser, what did they invent? And it's brilliant. Laser is where they take a specific wavelength and a specific color, and they put them all together in a focused beam. So now, instead of it spreading, it's now shooting forth one wavelength, one light. So, in other words, they're limiting it, right? Are we limiting it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It can't spread all over the place, but now it can operate on people, and it can change history. In other words,
or erase their hair.
What?
Or take away their hair.
Yes, that's what you're doing. It could take you. You don't have to wear glasses. People do laser on their eyes. Oh wow, awesome. Okay.
Everybody knows this. Everybody does this.
What?
Everybody do laser on the eyes. It's a fun experience.
She did it. She doesn't have to wear glasses.
Did it? Yeah, sure. That's why I can see you actually right now.
Without glasses.
Sorry, I distracted everyone again.
No, but really,
No,
it's
it's
about the
amazing.
same idea.
Think about that. It's like 3 seconds and you can see.
For the rest of your life.
That's
Yeah.
so scary. No, it's your eyes.
Why is it scary? It's not dangerous.
Well, you don't know.
You don't know.
Because you don't know how it works. You don't know if it's dangerous
You
or
don't
not.
even have time to think about how it works. You've done it in a minute.
Depends which one you take. There two depends.
Okay,
Sorry.
I want to finish this time before we leave for our break. So I'll give you another example, okay? I could say, I want to be free, and so then I'm gonna eat whatever I want, okay? Don't worry, you could all have the cake. Don't feel guilty. So I could eat whatever I want, right? So I'm gonna literally eat whatever I want. But then, I might be tired. I might have low energy. I might
Have a
stomachache or whatever it is. But then you go to a nutritionist, right? And a nutritionist says, okay, I'm going to tell you exactly when to eat and what to eat, right? Now, is that limiting? For sure. It's a burden. It's like, come on, you're going to tell me what to eat and when to eat? Like, this is annoying. But it's going to bring out the best in me. It's going to allow me to feel more energized, to feel more healthy, right? To take care of myself. So I heard such a beautiful mashal also. The violin, right? The violin. So the strings are tied down, right? But because the strings are tied down on the violin, it's able to create music. The minute you're going to cut off the strings, and that's what it means to be free, then it's beautiful. The strings are all over the place, but it's not able to create music. So this is what he's telling us. He's saying, you are a godly soul. You're a Jew. You have love. You have an inner light that's supposed to conquer the world. So people could be very creative and all over the place. But if they don't have the structure, right? If they don't have that focus, if they don't have a little bit of that limit, they're not really creating music. They're just all over the place. That's, the Alter Rebbe is telling us, that's Torah and mitzvos. It's gonna limit you, and it might even feel like a burden sometimes. I know you don't like that, but I think, let's be honest. Yes, sometimes it is a burden, because I won't always feel in line with halacha. I won't always feel in line with it. But I have to know that it's refining my soul. It's bringing out a deeper love that's really, really there. And then, with that beautiful light, you're able to conquer the world. You're able to conquer the world. You see, one issue is, I don't think we have this issue in this room, but I could say in places where I've grown up, and even now when I see what's going on in more like, I don't want to say, very like community places. So, you see, the issue with this, like, let's go back to the mashal of the violin with the strings tied down. Sometimes I feel like they're tying the strings down, but they're also not allowing them to play the music.
Yeah.
So it feels extremely crushing, stifling, and it's not even Torah. It's not Torah. It's not Torah. We need to be able to use our creativity. We need to be able to shine forth. Always, always in the realm of halacha, right? We never compromise halacha. That's always like, sometimes everyone's like, yeah, but I don't know if it's right or wrong. If you have a mashpia, you're able to ask a teacher, whatever, you know halacha, then you'll know if it's right or wrong. But Hashem wants you to shine forth. Yeah.
Okay, this is a little bit like connected to this. What about like, we talk about klipas noga.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that are not outwardly godliness, but also not outwardly klipa. Like, let's say someone who grows up religious and wants to be a musician. Like, it's not like like a godly profession, but
right.
Also,
but it's very clear, and I'm saying, I'm talking from experience. It's very clear to the person if this is bringing him closer to Hashem or not. In other words, Hashem gave us music because it's a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool to open us up, to connect us to Hashem, to even just to give yourself space. Yeah? But these are godly things because I'm taking care of myself so that I can be in this relationship with Hashem, right? In a very beautiful way. So I always say, two people could be sitting in the ice cream store, and one of them is serving Hashem, and one of them is serving their animal soul, just wants to eat more ice cream. So the thing is that it could look the same, like you're saying, that's klipas noga. The things that are not necessarily asur, they're not forbidden, they are mutar, but is it going to help me be closer to Hashem, or is it not? Is it bringing me closer, or is it not? And I think that's the question you have to ask yourself, and be very honest with yourself. And be nice to yourself. Okay. So Torah is the blueprint to bring out your deepest light. Okay? But again, it is going to have to come with limitations and a little bit of a structure, right? A structure and boundaries. Okay? All that stuff. So this is, till now we dealt with the hills, which is the Chassidus Saleh, which is the Chassidus Ahava, which is what do we need? We need Torah and mitzvos to balance out that love. That's this. Now can we move on to this? Mm-hmm. Ready? This is more related to our mimer because we kept talking about what? The pnimius, the inner part, right? The inner soul that calls out to Hashem with the shofar, and Yom Kippur is coming. Yom Kippur is all about essence. It's all about essence, so it's very much what we're exposing right now. Okay, aval b'chinas madregas harim, but the idea and the level of mountains, hey b'chinas harim agvayim, those are the tall mountains. Shehi b'chinas ahava shelamayla min natam b'das. That is going to be the love that is higher than rationale. Shehin l'mayla m'kinas Torah mitzvahs. It's higher than Torah mitzvahs. The eraisa mechachma nafkas. Why is that? Because it says the Torah comes from Hashem's chachma, comes out of Hashem's chachma, right? Now this kind of love is not attainable only through Torah mitzvahs. It needs something more than that. What does it need? It's going to be through returning from the depths of my soul, which is higher than intellect. Because I feel such a richok, because I feel such a distance from the light of Hashem's face, it's specifically from the distance that Hashem exposes himself to me. So, we're discussing here two different things. We're discussing Torah and mitzvos, and then we're discussing tshuva. Torah and mitzvos is like when things, are going well. Like, okay, I'm doing what I need to do, I'm serving. Tshuva is coming more from a place of pain. Like, it's not really working out. Like, I feel something. Something's bothering me. Something is hurting me. I feel so distant. I feel so far. Tshuva is always coming from a place of distance. And that's why the Alter Rebbe always talks to us. He says, you have to know who you are. You're a godly soul. And then once you know who you are, you can realize, oh, I'm so distant from that. And that distance is what pains me and what arouses me to call out to Hashem from a distant place. So, let's go back to this scale. Why is this scale the muscle for this love? So the heavier the thing is here, what's going to happen to this stick? The higher it's going to go. So, you remember this metal piece here? Where am I going to have to push it to bring it back down? Further away. So it's the distance that causes the balance. Do you understand? What?
So if what is this thing, that heavy thing that I'm putting on a scale? What is that? My pain?
Yeah, like that inner love that needs to come out, that calling out, that the essence that's being exposed.
Okay, so how the distance causes the balance?
Yeah. The more I feel distance to Hashem, the more I feel the pain of this distance. Okay. That means the further I feel, that's what's going to expose, that's what's going to draw forth Hashem to connect to you from a very inner part of Him. So the distance causes the closeness. It sounds like a paradox, and it is in a certain sense. But the more the distance pains me, the more I appreciate the closeness. That's what causes the balance of the love. You see over here, what causes the balance of the love, the outer love, is Torah and mitzvos. Over here, it's how much do I feel the pain of the distance? The more I feel it, the more I'm gonna feel that inner love, that inner yearning to be close to Hashem. Shula, you still look confused?
I'm still confused because in that balance scale, it was like that love went down, so we have to bring it up again before it misses here. Love goes up actually, and
no, but the going up is making right. But the going up means that it's not in balance. It's just a different kind of scale. That's where you're getting confused. The going up doesn't mean that it's going up spiritually. It means the weight is heavy. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a different kind of scale. So it doesn't mean you're going up spiritually. It means the weight is so heavy that the stick is going up, and what's going to bring it back? I want to be in balance.
So feeling of the distance will bring it back.
Yes. Okay, let's read it inside, and then if you still don't understand, let me know. V'zehu inyan peles. This is the idea of a peles. This is this kind of scale. Peirosh, this means Shehu HaMishkal, that's the kind of scale, Shel Eitz Aruch, it's a long piece of wood, Uritsues Tluyim Bereshai, and there are strings that are hanging on it, that's this, okay, right, Shekairin Bezmin, I guess it's called Bezmin, Shesham, over there, Shaiklin Sadavar, Hanitambai, over there you weigh the thing that's put on it, the Arichas, the Kayved Ha'etz, Umerchakai Hu HaMachriya. And however, the length and the weight of the wooden stick, Umerchakai, and its distance, Hu HaMachriya. That is what establishes the weight of the thing. V'kach, and now what's the nimshal? V'kach Ayidei HaMeriros, and through the bitterness, Shebenafshai, that's in your soul, al ruchukei me'es Hashem, from your distance from Hashem, asher rochak mimenu betachlis, that we are so far from Him, v'al yidei akiras haratzain, and through uprooting your will, mimasha hayata kua bai betchila, where your will is etched in something else originally. In other words, your heart and soul is invested in, I don't know, give me an example. Ego, food, I don't know, looks, pleasure, distraction, all those, your heart and soul is vested. If you're ready to, from the pain of your heart, you're ready to uproot that. What does that do? It arouses the love, the infinite love, which is higher than love, which is higher than rationale. And this is the mountains that are the 12 mountains for the what's the elim? It's a wild goat. Okay, so what does it say? It says in the Chumash that the wild goats, they're the ones who climb on the high mountains, right? So now we're going back to the ayil. What do we know? Where is the shofar taken from? Right. From the ayil. It's taken from the horn of the ayil, right? So now he's going to sort of wrap up this mimer by explaining to us why are we specifically taking the shofar from the ram, okay? That means the tall mountains. Remember, what are the tall mountains? The deep love, okay? The love that comes from a place of distance. It's going to be drawn down through the goats, through the Ye'elim. Shehu b'chinas kol shofar, and that is the concept of the sound of the shofar. Ki shofar shel Rosh Hashanah, because the shofar of Rosh Hashanah shel Ya'al Pashut has to come from a simple goat. Shehu b'chinas tshuva me'amik halev k'ner melmala. That is the concept of the tshuva that comes from the deepest part of the heart, as we explained above at length. Ulashen Ya'al, Ulashen Aliyah. Now he's going to play on the word. He says, by the way, the same root of the ayil and Ya'al is also Aliyah. What's Aliyah? To ascend, to go up. Shemayla as Adam, because what happens when you blow that shofar, when you're calling out from the depths of the heart, it raises the person. Again, remember we said yesterday, it's almost like we're taking a journey. We're going from below rationale to higher than. That's where we're being raised to. Upashot, and why does it have to be a simple sound? The more the heart is straight, the better. So there's really machleket. Okay, there's a disagreement in what the shofar is supposed to be. When we say pashut, we mean a straight one. How do we paskin now? Do we use a straight one or a curvy one? No. Okay, I know, I also thought so. But there are really much curvier ones.
Oh, you mean like not bent? There's like bent one?
Exactly. The shofar that we're meant to use, it's true, it's a little bit of a curve. But you ever saw horns that are like this? Mm-hmm. So that is not kosher for shofar.
The Yemenite ones. are more.
Right. I don't know. It's interesting. You know, I remember walking in the old city with my husband, and somebody was selling there these like curly. He's like, it's not even kosher.
What?
The curly chauffeurs you're not supposed to
On what
use for
basis it's not?
what?
On what basis it's not?
On this basis, there's a machlokas. What are we supposed to use? Are we supposed to? Maybe some people
Okay,
hold.
so according to like Kabbalistic reasons, not according to halachic reasons. Because according to halachic reasons, it is kosher.
I'm not sure. I know that this is what we use. Most people use the same non-simple straight chauffeur. Most people.
Like challah.
No, even in Ashkenaz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's what we're talking about. Why does it have to be straight? Why not curvy? Dahainu, what does that mean? Because l'shait, we want to spread out es ha'ava, the love, mehis labusha bagaf, from it being enclosed in the body, that it should scream from the innermost part of the heart, limsar nafshe la'Hashem ulehis kalel be'echad. So that he's almost like giving up his soul for Hashem and to become consumed and subsumed in the oneness. Do you understand? No? When it's straight, what are we trying to do? It's a straight shofar. We're trying to spread out that love. Right? We have the love that is, it's almost like it's enclosed in the body. So I lost it. I can't even feel it. We want to spread it out that I could scream from the depths of my heart and come to that oneness with Hashem from that place. Okay? That's why we try to use that straight shofar and make that simple straight sound. This is the end of the same pasuk. He finishes off, just like he promised to your, what's lavotecha? Your forefathers. Who are our forefathers? Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Shehem bechinas haramagbayim. They are, who are, right, it's called, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are called the tall mountains. Why? Ki be'evra hanar yashvu avesechem. It's another pasuk in the Chumash that says that they sat on the other side of the river. Okay? What do we know? In Gan Eden, what do we have? Why is it called, what do we have in Gan Eden? A river, right? Anyone know this?
Mm-hmm.
And then it spreads out, how many rivers? 4. Okay? It spreads out 4 rivers. Okay? So, there's this one river that lahashkes means to, like to water a plant, to, what's the word? Like, it's more than just watering, it's like giving, well, irrigate, yes, yeah. So this one river is what gives to the 4. So, but the avos are where? Aver Hanar. They're here. And then they give forth to the other 4 rivers. So that's what we're saying. That the avos are Aver Hanar. They're Yotzim Eden Lahashkes Esagam. They come out of Eden to irrigate the garden. Umisham Yipared, and from there it could separate Shehu Bechinas Hamshachas Arin Seif Baruch Hu. That is the idea of drawing down the infinite light. Liyosham Hasagas Hanavram. Over here, on the other side of the river, the avos are the source. They're in the Chachma itself. After that, what comes out now? Now I can start to comprehend, to understand, to grasp whatever I receive from there. Hasagas Hanavram, the grasping of creation. Aval mi be'ever hanar, but whoever is on the other side of the river, that's the avos, hulemaylam and adas, that's higher than understanding. Bechinas har magvayim, that again is the concept of the tall mountains. Sham hu shayresh bechinas umadregas avos. That is the root of and the level of our forefathers. Umisham haisa hashvua ba'kritzes bris. And remember, that's where the covenant happened. It happened in Aver Hanar. It happened by the tall mountains. It happened higher than Tam B'das. Liyos l'chal elikim, so that Hashem could now define himself as your God. Bechina pnimius, in a very internal way. So we have Torah and mitzvahs, and that is for the functional life. When things are going well, we keep trying to go, we keep doing, we know it's hard, but we know that it's there for our good, right? And then we have tshuva that comes from dysfunction. Tshuva comes from you're broken, you're frustrated, you're in pain, you're being challenged, right? But that's exactly the point. The frustration that challenges a person to really, the frustration challenges the person to really go out of himself and admit that I need help. And then I surrender to who? Because he's the only one. It's coming from somewhere. Who's it coming from? Why do I feel that frustration? Right? So when I'm able to really hold it and look at it and admit it, right? It challenges me to the point where I surrender. I need help. Hashem, I need help. It's from this place of dysfunction, right? It's from this place. That's where tshuva hangs out. So I see it also with myself, but I heard this from a friend of mine who's a therapist. But I see it with myself also with, speaking to people and trying to help people. That my friend told it to me like this. She said, how do I know, every time I get a new person that I'm working with, how do I know if we're going to be successful or not? By the first one, the first session, you see the first meeting, how do I know if I'm going to be successful? Do you know the answer?
The person is willing to work.
Okay, great, but it's deeper than that. If a person walks in, and I've experienced this already with someone, they have all the answers, everything's figured out. I don't even know why they're coming because they know everything already, right? And the issues are basically mainly the world and other people, and they have all the answers already. And I'm like, why are you even talking to me, right? And over here, that there isn't that level of frustration yet. I don't know. For some people, whatever. Doesn't always come so easy. But when someone comes and right away in the first session just like, I need help. That's when right, when someone cries, people always fight back those tears. And I'm like, no. This is the opening to healing. This is it. You're crying. What?
You're a therapist also?
I'm not a therapist, but I coach people. But I never went to college, so I'm not a therapist. No.
What do you coach?
What?
What do you coach?
What do you mean what?
Like, what kind of a coach are you?
Just
Life.
I guess when people feel like they're just frustrated, and it's all based on Chassidus and my own inner work. It's not psychology. I mean, I don't know. A lot of things are very similar. Like yesterday we had a farbrengen. My sister-in-law had a birthday. We had a farbrengen, and I taught them I said over the Ani Ludai that we did together. And one of them over there is a professor in college for psychology, and she's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yeah, the Alter Rebbe was like the ultimate psychologist, right? Like he said it so many years ago, and now slowly everyone's catching on, But still, I think Chassidus has it deeper, as in because you have to know who you are. You have to when you're connected to the infinite, it's like you're never doomed. A lot of people go to therapy, and for the rest of their life, they look at themselves as damaged. Okay, whatever, right? And they become this whole self-pity kind of situation. So that's not the approach. So when it comes to this place of frustration, it's not about words. It's really just a scream, right? It's It's like I can't even describe it. And just crying, screaming, right? So, but that what the author was saying here, and it's so beautiful. He says that is exactly what's needed. That is exactly what's needed. You don't even have to understand Hashem. You don't have to be lofty. You don't have to meditate. You just have to be able to feel the pain of your godly soul. You have to be able to go back to the core and realize that essentially I'm connected. And from that place of distance, I'm going to cry out. Okay? So that's what's going to expose a very, very inner, essential part of God. And that's where we really become one. Yes?
Could you explain the God Eden thing a little bit more? I never heard it before.
Yeah, can we do it after Sukkot? Because I have to go. Okay? I have an appointment at 11. But remind me. Yeah, it is something to explain. You see, in this last part of the Maimar, technically we could have had 5 classes. There were a lot of like little things that he threw out that we could technically learn deeper. I just literally, I'm saying honestly, I rushed because I wanted to finish it. Because I want to come back after Sukkot to start something new, like that has to do more with that time. And not be, still talking about Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Okay. Have a beautiful, beautiful Chag and an easy fast.